Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Welcome to our show. My name is Mike Dizon. I'm the Chief of Staff at Northeastern Illinois University, and today we're going to be talking about financial aid. Everything you need to know, whether you are a student who's thinking about applying, or whether you're a current student and want more information. We have the person to talk to. Today I'm joined with Dr. Maureen Amos from Northeastern Illinois University, and she's the Executive Director of Financial Aid, Scholarships, and Student Employment, and everything having to do with money, right?
Yes.
And we're so thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that when it comes to the college experience, whether it's at Northeastern Illinois University or anywhere else, one of the things that is top of mind for the students, but also their parents and those who are supporting those students through college, is financial aid. So how do we pay for college? Whether you are a person of means, whether you have the money, whether you don't have enough money, what exactly do you do? And I think that that's one of the things that we want to talk a little bit about today. Well, that's one of the things that we mostly want to talk about today. And you get that question all the time, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And actually, not just at Northeastern, but from what I understand, you've worked at other institutions. So before we go into those specifics, talk to us a little bit about how you got to the role, and also what makes you qualified to talk about financial aid and help our students out.
Okay. So I ended up in the financial aid profession almost by a fluke. Undergraduate student at DePaul University. Loved money. I was an accounting major as well as business major. My initial position dealt with auditing at Chicago Title and Trust. Didn't like auditing so much. I wanted to be in academia. I wanted to be in higher ed. I was an active student, and I wanted to give back to college students in whatever way that I could. So I wanted to be in higher ed. My first job on my journey was at Triton College, and I worked in student activities though. After working in student activities is when I saw an opening for a financial aid advisor position. And I learned that I could actually help students from start to finish pursue and achieve their college degrees. That's how I got in there. So Triton College as an advisor, University of Illinois at Chicago as an advisor and an assistant director, and then now at Northeastern.
Your favorite university?
My favorite. I was an associate director when I was hired at Northeastern, and I replaced my boss as director, and now executive director.
Now executive director. And what is your doctoral degree in?
My doctoral program is in higher education, ethics, and law. As my emphasis, but my topic is why students actually persist, as opposed to how does institutions increase their retention rates. This is from a student's perspective on what made me persist through college, and then how that can then be added to recruitment plans, retention plans for institutions, so that students are then telling us what they need as opposed to us dictating what we think they need.
This is a completely different show. You and I will have to talk about that again later. But it sounds very clear to me that you have all of the ingredients you need in order to be a successful and effective executive director for financial aid, scholarships, and student employment. So talk to me a little bit about what you do and what your department at Northeastern Illinois University looks like.
Okay. The financial aid, scholarships, and student employment team hits the entire life cycle of a student. So from the point that a student is a prospect, attends an open house, we are meeting with them. We do presentations for them. We talk about how to maximize free money options. That's grant assistance, that's scholarship assistance. One of my key passions is to make sure that students do not graduate with their first bachelor's degree with a whole lot of loan indebtedness. And Northeastern has taken a lot of pride in making sure that we keep that ranking. But we talk to students through their whole life cycle, from the beginning to when they actually enroll, to the point where they are looking at career options, to the point where they graduate, and then we're looking at them again to make sure that they're gainfully employed and can pay back any student loan indebtedness that they may have. We look at students completing their FAFSA first in terms of how do you get the free money options and maximize them at the most. Completing the FAFSA is the first step.
What is FAFSA?
FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and I emphasize free because there is another site that we want students to stay away from that is not a free site. But FAFSA.gov is the free application for federal student aid. Students should start with that the October prior to the term they want to enroll.
So not just our students, but all students who
All
want to apply
students.
for financial aid,
All
right?
students, so-
FAFSA applies to all of them.
Yes. So if we've got students in the audience who are looking at going to college next fall, you can actually complete your FAFSA now, and you could have done it as early as last October and list Northeastern as one of the institutions you're interested in attending.
And what happens when you fill out that FAFSA form? Then they just give you money, right?
Maybe.
Maybe, hopefully.
Hopefully. That's the goal. The earlier you complete it, the better.
Why?
Because the federal money, such as Pell, which is the largest federal grant, you have that all year round. That's not a problem. The amount stays the same regardless of what type of institution you actually attend. It's just the state assistance tends to run out. So we want to make sure that students apply early enough in the process, and the Illinois Student Assistance Commission actually uses the FAFSA to determine eligibility.
Okay.
So you need to complete that FAFSA.
So you just answered the question I was going to ask. If FAFSA is the federal application, what does it have to do with the state? But it
Right.
sounds like
The Illinois Student Assistance Commission uses the FAFSA
ISAC
to
uses
determine
it.
state eligibility. They will also be using the FAFSA to determine the Illinois Aim High eligibility, which at Northeastern we will be calling the Golden Opportunity Scholarship.
oh, and we'll talk a lot about golden opportunity in just a second, believe me. Now, is FAFSA the only form that students should fill out?
No. Once a FAFSA is completed, we tell students don't stop at the FAFSA. We want you to apply for institutional scholarships. And Northeastern has a wonderful foundation where we give scholarship assistance to students for all different types of criteria. In addition to that, so we give students homework when we start talking about how to maximize free money options. It's the FAFSA first, institutional scholarship second. Third is what I call household inventory, where you look through your house and you look at where you spend your money, and then you ask those corporations, those restaurants, those foundations, those cell phone companies, those shoe companies, where you spend your money to ask them for theirs.
Wow, I never really thought of that.
So if you're a Victoria's Secret fan, you ask Victoria's Secret for money. If you're paying Comcast once a month, then you're asking
Well,
Xfinity
then
for money.
Taco Bell owes me a lot of money.
Taco Bell and the whole Pepsi family. You've got Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. There's a whole lot of Pepsi families in there. So.
Oh, great. I
Then
never thought of
Coca-Cola
that.
has a family. So there's the household inventory. And we ask the students at least pick 4 to 5 different companies, restaurants, clothing places, and then go to their websites and look for scholarships.
That's great.
We also encourage them to do scholarship searches, and there are some free ones, Scholarship Owl, Sally Mae, which is a big loan provider. However, they offer a lot of scholarships as well. We have FastWeb. And then there was a scholarship search created by a student in Pennsylvania. It's called My Scholly. It's very slick. No minimum ads because he went on Shark Tank and got investments.
Oh, nice.
So his scholarship application is actually for phone use. So we know students love to have their cell phones. So on the cell phone, you can actually buy the My Scholly app. And it's a
Oh,
very
nice.
slick scholarship search. A lot of students at Northeastern use those.
My Scholly.
My Scholly.
Good advice.
Yes, so FAFSA, institutional scholarships, household inventory, and then private scholarship searches.
And then hopefully you'll get money. Hopefully you'll get enough
You
money.
do get money when you do those 4 things.
You do get money. Hopefully it's enough money to cover your college expenses. Now, what happens if it falls short. And for some students, it does fall short. You know, you do get some financial aid, you do get some scholarships, but then there's the leftover that you could either pay for if you can afford, or you can finance it in a different way. And so I'm going to say the L word.
The L word.
And so the L word being loan. Is that the next step?
That's the
for
next
some
step.
students?
That's the
so
next
talk
step.
to us about
That's the
that
next
and
step.
what that's like.
I do recommend that prior to looking at the loans, that the student and family together discuss with the institution what payment options are available. Most institutions have more than one payment plan option available. And then first see how that works. Okay? After you have that under your belt and you know what that is, then have a discussion with the financial aid office and talk about the loans. Because there's different types of loans. There's a subsidized loan where there's no interest accruing while students are enrolled. Then there's the unsubsidized, which does accrue interest, but it's low and it's fixed. Most of the students at Northeastern stick with the subsidized.
Yeah.
Okay? But there are those two options. There's also a parent loan for those parents that don't want their son or daughter to borrow. So the parents can borrow up to whatever that gap is. Let's say the student is staying on campus and there's more than just tuition and fees. So they have the residence hall to pay for. So the parent can borrow the PLUS loan through that. That's the parent loan for undergraduate students. So graduate students would not be able to use that. But those are the options, and in that order: subsidized, unsubsidized, and then the parent loan.
You know, a lot of people have been talking recently about student debt. And, you know, we've heard a lot of stories in the media about students really digging themselves into really deep holes. Do you see that a lot at Northeastern?
No. Like I mentioned, all of our sessions, workshops, presentations focus on free money options first. How to do it. How to get by without having a lot of loan indebtedness, particularly for that first bachelor's degree. Our students shy away from borrowing loans, but if they need to, and we teach need versus want, we teach direct costs versus indirect costs. So your direct costs are your tuition and your fees and your books. So if your free money, your grants and your scholarships cover your tuition fees and your books, that reduces the need to borrow. If they don't, then that increases the need, and then you're looking at your subsidized loans and then your unsubsidized or the parent loan. So we teach that so that students have a guide. So you're looking for your direct costs. Can I meet them with the free money options or not? And if you can, then that's good.
If it's free, I'll take it.
Yes.
Now, the fact that Northeastern's tuition and fees are very competitive in comparison to other colleges and university, particularly in the area, that has to help.
Yes.
Lower debt.
It helps
but
a lot.
Northeastern students also have a reputation when it comes to debt. Talk to us a little bit about what that reputation is.
That reputation is to have the least amount of loan debt upon graduation. The average loan indebtedness for a student graduating with their first bachelor's degree is $30,000. At Northeastern, it's half of that, if not less than half. We strive to keep it at the half mark. It's intentional and it's not very easy, but it requires us coaching and teaching students along the way. We actually ask that students meet with a financial aid advisor before they submit a loan request. That way we can talk to them about the terms and what is an online entrance counseling and why do I have to do that? What's a master promissory note? What does that mean? It's basically your promise to pay the loan back. But we want the opportunity to talk through it. Talk through whether you've looked at direct costs already and determine that you actually need to borrow. Look at that need and then help you figure out the right type of loan to get. Hopefully it'll be the subsidized with no interest accruing.
Yeah, ideally. It's nice that we have that, that we're nationally recognized as graduating the most number of students with the least amount of debt. But let's not forget that even though the average debt that our students take on, if they do have some debt when they graduate, is significantly lower than the national average, we do graduate a lot of students who have zero debt,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Is that a lot of students?
It's a lot of students.
And
It's
how
a
do
lot
they
of
do
students.
it?
I would say it's to the tune of maybe 63% of students that have zero.
That's a big chunk.
That's a big chunk. And they do it because they've listened and followed the steps. Okay. The earlier you complete that FAFSA, the earlier you do the application for the institutional money. And within the institution, there's different pots of money. And so I want to break that out too. So there are, within a university system, there are different colleges. So within each of the colleges, they have tuition scholarships for students who declare their major early enough, who are excelling in their coursework. So that's a plug to, once you do go to college, that you figure out what your major is going to be pretty early on so that you have this additional tap that you can go into. So the individual colleges have tuition scholarships. In addition to that, we have donors at the university through our foundation. And again, the criteria for those scholarships can vary from students that have had Against All Odds is one scholarship that we've got. But it just goes from one gamut to the other. But apply at Northeastern with the scholarships. There's a general application, and then you can apply for individual scholarships.
I love how we're segueing into
Yes.
scholarships right now
Yes.
because that's one of your three worlds, right? You have financial aid, scholarships, and student employment. Let's talk about student employment in a sec, but let's continue first with scholarships.
Okay.
There are two scholarships that I have in mind. The first one I want to talk about briefly. It's called the Presidential Scholarship.
Yes.
What's that? It sounds really good.
That's our marquee scholarship. And not one four-year public university in Chicago or in Illinois offers a full ride to presidential scholars.
A full ride,
It's
4
a
year.
full ride for 4 years. And that covers tuition and fees. Students are full-time, so that's full-time tuition and fees. And it even has a book allowance. So that's our marquee scholarship.
So it sounds nice. What do you have to do to get that scholarship?
You have to have I don't know if specifically, but you have to have a certain class rank and a certain ACT score. And there's an actual interview process where the director of scholarships, myself, faculty members who are with the Honors College are also in the interview process. Once a student is selected to be a presidential scholar, they are also admitted into the Honors College. And I know people get a little scared about that. They think they have to take extra coursework, but it's actually integrated very well with the rest of your curriculum based on your major. But it's a very good program, and unfortunately I don't have all of the criteria right in front of me, but it's class rank and it's ACT. It's on our website if you go to NEIU.edu under financial aid and scholarship opportunities.
I do know you know the scholarship criteria for the next scholarship that I'm going to ask you about. I don't even have to tell you
No,
what
you
that
don't.
scholarship. You just go ahead. You take over this show.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm going to be on the computer pulling this up.
Okay.
So help me remember what is the website that we go to. So this is our website, NEIU.edu.
Okay, so
How do we get to the website for our next scholarship?
financial aid. Select financial aid from that top menu.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not type it in, but you go to
No.
the menu. Even
Yep.
easier.
So
Go to financial
financial
aid.
aid.
You click on this.
And then scroll down to scholarship opportunities. It's on your left-hand side.
Right here, scholarship opportunities, and then
Okay, and then as you scroll down, you'll see presidential scholars should be listed there.
valued at $50,000.
Absolutely, because that includes tuition fees, books, and supplies.
There's a whole bunch of other ones here. So we just introduced a brand new scholarship.
Yes.
What is that called?
And it's called the Golden Opportunity Scholarship.
And you made it very easy for us. We just type in NEIU.edu/golden opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
It
got that
didn't
wrong.
work.
It's Be Golden.
Oh, Be Golden. Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
It's called the Golden Opportunity Scholarship. Go to neiu.edu/begolden. Now, what's this all about?
It's part of the Illinois initiative to keep students within the state, keep our talent in the state. This is an opportunity for those students who may or may not be eligible for the monetary award program that's currently provided through the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. But you could get the Golden Opportunity Scholarship even if you are receiving the Monetary Award Program or MAP grant. We are looking for first-time, full-time freshmen starting fall of 2019 with an high school GPA of at least 3.0. And then to receive that same scholarship in the same amount for the next 4 years, we only require that you keep a 2.5 academic grade point average for the subsequent years after the first year. There are some income requirements, but again, once you've completed the FAFSA, we can determine whether or not you're eligible for those. The annual family income is $61,000.
Looks like we have those criteria specifics here. Just like you said, the $61,000 and the 3.0, and that you have to continue with a 2.5. Very nice. So it's called the Golden Opportunity Scholarship. It sounds less restrictive than the Presidential Scholarship. So it sounds like more people can qualify for this.
Absolutely.
Now, this isn't a full ride like Presidential Scholarship,
not.
but it could cover almost everything.
Again, it helps for those students, again, who want to keep that loan indebtedness down. So let's say you've got the federal Pell Grant, you've got your Monetary Award Program grant, you've got AIM High, and you've got private scholarships. You've basically covered your direct costs. Right?
Yeah, nice.
And that's the goal.
You know, every time I hear a conversation about student financial aid, I hear about this thing called Monetary Award Program, or MAP grants.
Or MAP grant.
Can anybody get MAP grants? Who are those typically awarded to?
MAP grant, similar to the Golden Opportunity or Illinois residents. And basically, if you are receiving the federal Pell Grant, you should be eligible for the MAP grant. MAP grant requires, though, because it's state funded, that you submit your FAFSA as early as possible. I mentioned earlier that the federal money tends to be there throughout the year. It's the state monies that tend to run out, so you have to apply early. And when I say early, I mean sometime between October, when the FAFSAs first become available, through February of the next year.
Are MAP grants typically just given to the smart kids, or are they given based off of another criteria?
Okay, so different than Golden Opportunity, MAP grant isn't based on GPA requirements. It's based on need. That's why most of the students who are receiving Pell generally receive the MAP grant. Okay, so it's based on having a need. On the FAFSA, once you've completed that, the federal processor comes up with an eligibility index, and this index is called the Expected Family Contribution, or EFC, that shows up on the confirmation page. So as long as that EFC is between 0 and approximately 9,000, students will be eligible for both the federal Pell as well as the Illinois MAP grant.
Nice. Nice. You got that, everyone? Don't forget. Let's talk very briefly about employment, because that is one area that can help fill in the gap. So you have done everything that you needed to do with financial aid. You've applied for all the scholarships, and hopefully you got some, but there's just that little bit extra that you need to cover all tuition and fees and all other costs associated.
Transportation.
So
Starbucks
student employment
coffee.
could help.
Student employment can help, yes. I mentioned we deal with the entire life cycle of a student, so student employment is a part of that life cycle, getting those skill sets, those transferable skills that can help you at Northeastern and once you've graduated from Northeastern. Students who tend to work while they're attending college are retained a lot higher. So we want to make sure students persist as well. Our Student Employment Office does both federal work-study program. That eligibility comes through applying for the FAFSA. We also have what we call regular student aid employment, where you don't necessarily have to have a work-study award to work on campus. You basically, the working itself isn't any different. Students still work. They get paid every 2 weeks like everybody else. You can get direct deposit if you want. The only difference is where the source of the funds come from. So federal work study comes from the FAFSA, it's federal funds, and the regular student aid employment comes from the actual departments on campus. They pay the student their salary.
Can you make a lot of money?
If you get work study, we actually pay America Reads and America Counts tutors $12 to $15 an hour.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and if you want to work in a not-for-profit organization such as the Boys and Girls Club, we'll pay you between $12 and $15 an hour.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, you clearly have a lot of options for students, and it's not a surprise that so many of our students end up graduating with very little or no debt at all. And, it's not enough to just fulfill the requirements to complete your degree, but for many of us, many students out there, you want to also go through the process without having the financial burden of paying off loans, which isn't always a bad thing.
No.
And if you're going to take a loan on anything, your investment is a very worthwhile loan.
Absolutely. And using the federal student loan program is more advantageous than students paying for their tuition and fees with a credit card. Okay?
Oh, holy
You're
cow,
dealing
you're
with
right.
no interest rate or a low fixed interest rate. And you're dealing with loan servicers that are endorsed by the Department of Education who have to pass certain parameters in order to keep that servicing agreement. And they will work with students even while they're in repayment for forbearance options or loan forgiveness, etc.
She knows what she's talking about. So listen closely. Now, before we end, I was hoping you can do something for us. A lot of people who are watching either have kids who are going to college or who are in college, or they might be college students themselves.
Okay.
What are the 3 things that you want to make sure that they fully understand?
Okay. First thing is early FAFSA, and that's the free application for federal student aid, fafsa.gov. File between October and February each year. All right, that's number 1. Number 2 is to don't forget that your institutions that you're applying for, hopefully you're at Northeastern, but the institutions you're at, apply for their institutional scholarships. Okay. Number 3, don't forget the household inventory and your scholarship searches. Those 3 things are what maximize free money options, scholarship assistance, grant assistance to cover direct costs. Again, direct costs are tuition, fees, books, and supplies.
You make it sound so easy, but they have
That's
to do
our
the
job.
work. They have to do the work, but it sounds like you're willing and happy to help them. Thank you so much for joining us. One thing you should know about Dr. Amos, and I know this because you and I have traded emails many times in the past, that you like to end your emails with what I understand is a Swahili phrase.
Yes,
What is
it
that?
is. Asante sana.
Asante sana, and what does that mean?
It means thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Asante sana to you.
Asante sana.
And I think that's a great way to close today's show. Asante sana to all of you watching today. Thanks for joining us. Again, we're Northeastern Illinois University. If you want to know more about financial aid opportunities, just like Dr. Amos said, go to NEIU.edu, go to the financial aid tab, and it's all there. She makes it very easy. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.